And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am this week's host, Henry Wine. You can find me on Twitter and Threads. Fellas, we're on Threads now. At
Are we
Henry
really?
Wine. Yeah, brother, Mecca's on Threads. Come on
You
now.
were the Mecca. I was like, that's
Both
good.
of us. Both of us. We're all on Threads, man. Yeah, like I say every week, it's a great week to be a Manchester United fan, and this week is no different. We'll get into that a little bit here later, but let's check in with the fellas. How we doing today, Dobes? What's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas? It's good to see you both. I'm happy to be here. Once again, dog days of summer, but thankfully we have St. Louis City to get us through, as well as the U.S. men's national team, some interesting transfer rumors, a whole bunch of sort of stuff going on. So always happy to talk some footy. Good to see you guys.
What's going on, brother?
Not much, dude. Another day. Love sitting down and doing this, even when we are back to Greg Berhalter ball with the United States men's team. But we can leave that one for right now. We'll get to it. But yeah, looking forward to it.
We will get to it. To start off tonight's pod, I'm actually going to go a little rogue. I forgot to mention this to you all beforehand. I want to give a shout out to the England U21 team for winning the U21 Euros and not only winning, but doing it in such an attractive way. I know that each one of us got a glimpse of watching that team, but all of our teams were represented, which is cool. Like we all had youngsters in the squad. I actually don't know if Spurs did. That is not a shot at Spurs. I just
Skippy.
We technically didn't.
Yeah.
We technically didn't have one either, though. Because nobody else played. None of them still play for United, bro. So it was
okay.
all the guys
was represented. That was cool. They had Oliver Skip.
But he's the future. Don't forget it.
There's a couple of guys in that England squad that we've all talked about at different times. But one of them, Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. Like I'm a huge fan of that kid. He got injured during the tournament, but balled out before the injury. They won the whole tournament without conceding a goal, which is pretty nuts. And it wasn't like the rest of the U21 teams were just slouches. Like there were some good players on those teams, but England just was a force. And I don't know if you all have any comments on that, but I was really stoked to see these guys play.
They should have lost the final. Like I genuinely think I watched the final against Spain. I think they should have lost the final. But I think what is pretty cool is, yes, I do. It's kind of unbelievable United doesn't have anybody, but a lot of these guys that played for the England team were playing a little bit out of position.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't just playing they were playing pretty going forward style soccer, defensively sound. I can't think of the goalie's name right now, the U21, the City goalie. I don't know if you guys saw this.
Trafford.
Earlier in the day, he was like telling teammates he was going to stop a pen, and before the game, he said he was going to stop a pen. And then I don't know if they showed the bench, and right before they kicked, they were all like, "He's stopping this pen."
Yeah.
Then a 92nd minute pen save. Sure, happy for England, I guess.
That was insane. I think maybe Dane Scarlett was in there too. I don't know if that's totally true, but I didn't get to see it. They were definitely the most notable name-wise for sure. I would love to see Morgan Gibbs-White in the next few years. I think his work rate is insane, and to say that at his age and have an impact on a Premier League season like he did, there's a shout for some future for that kid.
I also feel like he's built for it. Like, I don't know. Like, I felt like some of those guys, or at least during the season, some of those guys felt like they kind of crumbled under the pressure. But Morgan Gibbs-White looked like he could be a starter. I thought he was going to go to Tottenham, to be honest. There wasn't any like links or rumors, but I thought that he would have been perfect there.
A lot of people I've seen on Twitter have been like, look, if Harry Kane does leave, which is something that, we more or less have to brace ourselves for eventually. But like, a kid like that sounds like someone you want to have in the club for the next X amount of years. So, I think even against like him and Skippy, like he has like just the Mamba mentality about it way more than I think some of those younger guys do.
Yeah.
He's so involved in the game, and he so wants the ball, and he's going to press you, and he's going to get amped up when he closes you down and it goes out of bounds. Like, those are the guys you want to have on your side.
It's crazy. He was actually one of like the top performing players of the tournament. Didn't score a single time. Didn't score a single goal, and he still was that influential in the game. Yeah. I think he has a big future. Angel Gomez played like a CDM role, balled out.
He balled.
Like, I mean, it was just it was nice to see. But fact of the matter is, like some of those guys, we have like guys like Phil Foden or whatever playing for England right now that is the same age as those guys, and they're not on the first team. So it'll be interesting to see kind of the next couple of years of the progression of the England team as you have guys like Henderson fading out. You have Eric Dyer that's still kind of in the mix, Harry Maguire that's still in the mix, Levi Colwell locked it down for the U21s, the center back who was the captain, I don't even remember what his name is, but he's like a Manchester City player, like probably going to go for 25 million this summer to Burnley, because why not,
Sure.
Chelsea will ruin Colwell. It'll happen.
I think
it'll happen.
I want him to go back to Brighton. I just want guys to get out of Chelsea, to be honest with you. Like, I think when you see like young guys like that are really like, I don't know, they have that potential in them. I just think that Chelsea is like one of those places where people go to die. And if you start there, it's kind of one of the things. But we're not here to talk about England, fellas. We're here to talk about St. Louis City SC and our astonishing 1-0 victory over Toronto, which cool. We won the game. Stoked for that. I don't know if there was a game all season that I was less interested in than
so bad
this past one. It was the first 45 minutes were probably the like least attractive soccer we've played all season. And we don't always play pretty soccer. We don't always link a bunch of passes. We don't always do a bunch of stuff, but like it was just a brutal watch. Stoked we won, but really looking forward to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think this is one of those games where it is kind of funny because before the game, like all of St. Louis City Twitter, you saw all of those like predictions of like the score, and obviously Toronto was missing and had players suspended and injuries, and everybody was predicting like 4-1. I think I said 3-1. Some people were like 5.
Massive victories.
And then, and then
I bet on one.
To like
Same. Bet the over.
1-0 game to where like we just grinded it out. I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. In my opinion, there's not a whole lot to say. There will be those games where you don't have your best stuff, but at the end of the day, what sort of matters is the result, being able to get that 3 points. It's interesting. I'm just looking at like FOTMob at our ratings right now. Like all of our back four, Blom and then AZ are all over like 7.0s. And then our 2 wingers and 2 forwards are all at like a 6.0. So it just shows exactly how the game was. We were defensively sound, gave up a few decent chances. But at the end of the day, I was never really threatened by Toronto. I mean, they have CJ Sapong, who's been in the league forever, a couple of guys that can create a chance individually. But it just shows that this back four right now, we saw it with Watts going into the FOTMob team of the week this week as a wingback, him on the assist. So we're defensively sound. It is just that I know it's his birthday. I'm sorry that it's his birthday and we have to talk shit on him again, but like Jared Stroud, man, like it's tough. And Vasilev again overplayed a little bit. Big Sam's touch was a little bit off. So just a little bit lackluster going forward. So I wouldn't be surprised Wednesday. Obviously, it's a little bit short on rest. So we're going to see some changes going forward. But I was a little bit disappointed with what happens going forward.
Yeah, dude. I'm not even gonna, I don't want to talk about him because you start at the back. That's definitely, a Jose take on a lot of it is like if you don't give up goals, you don't lose many games.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was not attractive. It was scrappy. I'll take a little bit more positive stance on it. And I'm thinking of what we were saying earlier in the Prem year about, City or whoever. It's about the games that you win where you shouldn't. Like the
100%.
games that you are slated to go down or you came out flat and you do nothing for 55 minutes. You pull out a 1-0 and lock it down. that we have to take that to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Healthy, I still do feel that we can take anybody in the league. We can beat anyone in the league at anywhere, anytime. I think with our starting squad that we have that's out and injured, and with a couple of guys finding some more form, we're going to be great. Wednesday against LAFC, I don't necessarily feel the same way. That one's going to be the test of the character to be like, okay, we didn't look good in Toronto, but we won. We pulled the 3 points. How do we do that again? Because you're right. We can't just be committed to Big Sam putting in 2, every other game, because I don't know if that'll happen. I think he's a decent fill-in right now, and he's going to get his chance. But this one's going to be a lot more tough considering where they are in the table and the quality they have. they've not been on a good run either. But
Yeah. I think that's a big thing to call out. What is it? The last 4 games, they've dropped points in every single one. They had a tie in 3 losses, which, early in the season, LAFC was actually off to the hottest start in the MLS. They were the best team. They were on par with us. They just had played more games and like the CONCACAF. What was it? The CONCACAF Champions League. Like they're in that tournament and a couple of other things. And so they played a ton of games. But there's a couple of guys that I really do think, we did talk about Dobes. You mentioned it with like Toronto. They have a couple of guys that could produce a moment of brilliance, but like LAFC really, really has a moment of brilliance in their pocket. Like Denny Bouanga he's so good. He's such a good player. He plays on the left and the right wing, just all across the front line. He's fantastic, and they're kind of a well-oiled machine. They've been there, done that. They've won trophies in the MLS. They kind of came onto the scene as like the villain of the MLS, and I feel like they've really like ridden that wave pretty heavily. I think the only thing that we have going for us is their run of form at the moment. It's just not good.
Against LAFC, some of the careless like giveaways in possession will cost us.
Yeah.
Against players that can take 2 touches, beat somebody, finish that LAFC have, like we're gonna have to be better when we do have, obviously LAFC as a more possession-based team. So when we do have possession, we can't give the ball away in our own defensive third. We have to get the ball up the field. And I'll continue to say this, even though we don't have a ton of possession, you can still have meaningful possession. And I still don't think that there's enough times where when we do get the ball, we settle it down and make the other team work a little bit and get tired. Too many times when it gets closer to the end of the game and we're either up a goal, it's like we just kind of sit in and like let that possession go to waste or send a long ball, let the other team reset. I think the last kind of point that I want to touch about this game is just AZ.
Yeah,
talk about taking your chance. Like obviously,
100%.
I think Blom was the mob has the best rating, but like AZ to me, every time he was on the ball, he made something happen. Obviously, he got the goal. It was a great take and great assist by Watts, but that just shows that like when you get your moment and somebody's out, you can step in and take your chance. And he's arguably one of the first names in the team sheet moving forward, in my opinion.
100% has to be.
100%. I'm so in on Watts too. I'll come back to it every week. I'm so critical of wingbacks, and it was a second, third, I don't know, fourth half effort to repress and get the ball back.
What a ball too!
And he found him. It was a laser.
Yeah,
that's our
He sent
guy.
it straight in there. He knew that he wasn't hitting whoever was right in front of him. He saw the farther man and found him immediately, and then great take. But yeah, I love wingbacks that press. I love wingbacks that work hard. I love wingbacks that know a little bit of what they're doing going forward. And my man's got some of that for sure.
Who just loves a wingback?
I love wingbacks, man. So they're underappreciated and they're super important.
I would love to see us play, and I know Carnell probably won't do it. I would love to see, after seeing Big Sam and Gio play a couple times together now, like there's no balance there.
No.
Like Gio's one of those guys. He plays well with a Klaus who has good hold up play, good feet, can find him, that can combine. And like Big Sam's one of those guys where he touches okay, let's just be honest. But when it comes to like pressing or running by somebody, like that's where he thrives, or taking a half chance. It looks like it's a little bit just discombobulated going forward. So I would love to see us play with one up top and maybe play Gio as a winger. I don't know if Carnell will do it, but I think we need a little more balance in the front too.
He's so good on the ball. I feel in those types of Jared Stroud and Vasilev positions that they're in, I feel like Giacchini's going to get out of them better and be able to pick his head bet, a little bit more than those guys.
Yeah, I don't want to be too critical of Big Sam because I think that he went out on loan for a reason, got recalled for a reason. The moment that Klaus is back in the lineup, like Sam's not going to see too many minutes, but I don't think he's up to the caliber of where he needs to be an MLS striker, for all the reasons that you just mentioned. But it feels like as Sam's come into the side, Giacchini's production has lessened kind of in the last couple of games. And if we need Giacchini to step up and be our main man, we need him to be our main man. Now, we're playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. Within like a 9-day spell, we have 3 games, maybe 10 days, we have 3 games. So we just came off of the Toronto game. We have LAFC on Wednesday, and then we finish up with Inter Miami on Saturday. Luckily for us, it's a messy list, Inter Miami, so they're still bottom of the table, Inter Miami, which is great. Back at home, which is great, but there's quite a bit of minutes on the legs of the guys over the next couple of days and travel. I know that the fellas are staying out in LA for these couple of days in between the games. Put some nice content out of them all juggling on the beach like earlier today, which looks sick. But
That's cool.
By the time we record next week, we'll have a couple of games to report back on, which will be nice. But we'll see how we do. I'd also like to see a one-man front line, but kind of how Carnell's kind of been riding things. I did think the statistic was interesting that this was like the only game, or I guess the only lineup that we've kept in back-to-back games the entire season. First time, and we're halfway through the season. I thought that was an interesting stat. But
yep.
We had another huge game this week, fellas. Last night, the U.S. men's national team took on Canada, our neighbors up north, in the quarterfinals of the Gold Cup. And boy, was it electric. It was something. Matt Turner, you're our hero. What a terrible game. It was so bad.
Which game was more boring in your opinion? The U.S. or City?
U.S. by a mile. Like by a mile.
Up until just extra time was electric, but I would say they both were about equal for just.
It was kind of rough.
Just as boring.
I was so much more invested in St. Louis that
100%.
I'm going to say St. Louis because none of this has been that important to me.
Well, I just think that my expectation when you're playing an international tournament should be that you're doing things, you're taking chances. We started a guy who has never started for the United States that was a quote unquote dead ball specialist. And
couldn't miss the first man. Couldn't miss the first man.
It was it was so bad, bro. It was so bad. But we did get the win. It was a 1-0 win. I think that we're pretty aligned in the sense that it was a brutal watch. Hoove, I'm curious your thoughts on the game, the state of the U.S. men's national team. What's going on in that brain of yours, brother?
Wasn't it 2-2?
Yeah, I think that's
yeah, 2-2.
Vasquez and an own goal.
No, there was they scored. Canada scored once in extra time.
No, I'm saying that those were our 2 goals.
Oh yeah. Yes. I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
True.
They played a 5'8" ball playing striker in Jesus Ferreira and crossed the ball 42 times.
42?
So 42 times, 8 of them connected. One of them being to the 6'2", power running aerial forward that scored the goal. He was in for 15 minutes and had 100 times more efficiency against Canada than Jesus Ferreira. I don't think
Jesus Ferreira is a center midfielder, as we learned.
I don't think that's a Jesus Ferreira issue. No, that didn't make any sense. I thought maybe underneath Vasquez, and no, he was playing deep.
He's playing an 8.
Box. An 8. The if you're gonna do that, that's classic FIFA manager, football manager moves. If you're gonna play wide balls into the box, you're gonna have a striker who's 6'2" and an aerial threat. If that's the objective, change your striker. If you want to play through the middle and find wingers wide via a target man or a false 9, then do that. They took the opposite of both and flipped it, and it didn't work. I think there was some Berhalter shadow management. I think he was involved in some of those decisions. I think BJ no longer has the reins, and BJ understood that. BJ's got to play some Xbox in his day. The man likes a beer and looks like it. I love him. I love BJ. It was all wrong. And, this is not necessarily an exciting lineup anyway. We said this last week, though. I just still expect, comfortable wins at least. We're not playing dangerous teams. There wasn't one player on the Canadian team that I could have named and had known. They subbed in 2 guys from MLS Next Pro. Our standard here is low. I cannot believe the amount of my lack of excitement when we went through. I almost hoped we didn't. Like there may have been some sort of wake up call to someone to be like, we're not going anywhere. There's no progress. That I'll leave it at that. It's just what's there to be excited about, dude? They're not giving me anything. The most exciting thing that happened the last 2 weeks is Brandon Vasquez rumored to go back to Frankfurt. Like, I want that. I think there's, he's an unrefined striker. I think he's a physical, dominant presence and in the German league that will only add to his technical side. There's not been anything else that I've been like, yeah, this is good for the men's team. It's nothing. I got nothing.
I'm in the same boat as you. And I think the thing is, it's not that like I don't think that there's like quality players with potential. I think that like you kind of have to see them with the first team in order to really like get behind them consistently playing. Like for me, like looking at like Busio, Sands, Mihalovic, like Reynolds, like all of those guys have had really good games this tournament. That I think that potentially maybe deserve a shot with the first team moving forward. But then I think the drop off all over the field from the sort of 3 or 4 guys that are, I think, a little bit above everybody else is what makes it like we're tied in a game and we're bringing on an Aaron Long. Like,
yeah, dude.
I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, that must be Greg. But then there's like a Cade Kyle who, like, Hen, we were talking about it last night. Like, Cade has everything I think it takes in order to like be a very good player. He just needs to refine it just a little bit, like just a little bit, get a little more technical and a little more clinical around goal, because his work rate is like second to none. Like he instantly came into that game after watching nobody take anybody out, nobody do anything. At least he did that.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm in the same boat as you guys. Like this was a terrible Canada team that like we beat on pens. Like shout out Matt Turner. Like
look good.
I saw something. I think he saved like 14 out of 29 penalties that he's ever faced.
Damn, he's like a 48% save rate.
Which is
that's disgusting.
Which is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
So I guess it's one like who I told this to Hen last night. I was like, I was kind of hoping we lost just to see Alexi Lawless's rant afterwards.
Dude.
I would have loved it, dude.
Just to see his face get the same color as Henry's jersey. Like
I confidently can tell you that I didn't watch Extra Time. I watched 1.5 episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants, bro. That's how enthused I was about the United States men's team last night. I was out.
You missed a dominant 30 minutes, I'll tell you that much, brother.
Oh, I saw Aaron Long and Miazga on FOTMob, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
The last person I want to talk before we can go to wherever you guys want to talk is like Ferreira. Like I don't know if I shared it, but there was that tweet last night that was like Ferreira needs to score against a country that doesn't have the word "and" in it before he can be considered a high quality player. Like it's true though. Like in games where he's playing like not St. Kitts, he's playing against a very average Canada side. Like he was a ghost the entire game.
Yeah, a ghost entirely. And then also, like, I do feel bad for the guy. Like, we joke in saying that he's a center midfielder, but they dropped him back literally to like a number 8 position. And that is not what you can do. I understand you want your best guys on the field and you want the guys that can like show up in a moment. But if he's always in like a transition moment, like playing back, it's not a good look. He has a lot to learn. He's got to get out of the MLS if he wants to really progress, and we'll get to that in a second. The guy that I want to shout out, Dobes, you mentioned there's a couple of guys that might be on the fringe of the first team. There's a guy that I can say confidently belongs with the first team, and that's James Sands for me. I think that he is really, really, really good. He plays that defensive midfielder role, the least sexy role on the pitch. It's like what we talk with Blom, like about Blom. He does that too. He puts himself in great positions. I can't tell you the amount of times that last night, Dobes, Butch, and I were watching the game together. The amount of times that we just called it, Sands out for being in the right position, making the tackle. I do think that next to Tyler Adams, Sands is the best person in the U.S. like men's national team system to do that role. We saw Yunus Musa kind of play in that role in the CONCACAF Nations League, but to be honest with you, I want Musa in that 8 box-to-box role and bring Sands like on the first team sessions to be a backup for Tyler if he needs a rotation or if he needs someone to come off the bench. Like, I really think that Sands has over these last couple of games has really cemented himself as a person who I think could make like big challenges. And he's 22 years old. He's in that core age with the rest of the first team to kind of grow with them. He has experience outside of the MLS as well. Played for Rangers last season. He played kind of in a couple of different positions. So I'm really impressed with that kid. I hope that he gets out of the MLS next season. But I think that he's been a bright spot if we're looking for one for this. So the U.S. men's national team has their next game on Saturday. It'll be a fun back-to-back night for us. We have the U.S. men's national team at 6:30, and we have St. Louis at 9:30. So big night of footy on Saturday night. Lots to talk about on Monday.
I think it's on Wednesday. Yeah.
I'm saying, is it this Wednesday? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
a double feature, baby.
Yeah, midweek double feature. But in the heat of the summer, fellas, we got to bring up the transfer rumor, and we've brought up a couple of times of like MLS guys getting out of the MLS, and there's just been some really interesting things happening in the rumor mill of the U.S. men's national team. The first one that we're going to talk about, there's been a lot of speculation around it kind of for the last year or so. But it looks like Christian Pulisic is nailed on to go to AC Milan. Now, it hasn't been formally announced by AC Milan, but we got the Fabrizio, here we go. So for all purposes, that's what's going on. That's great for a lot of reasons, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. But there's been a lot of discourse over the last 24 hours with Landon Donovan coming out saying that he wishes that Christian would not go to AC Milan, but instead go to the MLS and play for someone like the LA Galaxy ahead of the World Cup. So twofold question for you both. One, what are your thoughts on Landon Donovan's statements on wishing that Christian would come to the MLS? And number two, what are your thoughts with Christian going to AC Milan, leaving Chelsea and this step in his career?
Donovan's a clown. I mean, he's
cool.
what I would just love to like get any like logical reason. It's like, hey, would you like want to go over to Italy, which Milan, I can get into the Milan move. I think it's a fantastic move for him in his career, but like, and play against some of the top center backs in the world who you're going to be playing against in a World Cup, who you're going to be playing against in these big tournaments, who you're going to have to beat. Or go play on a ready night in Cincinnati against Matt Miazga. Like, I don't understand the comparison. I think that you can. I do think there's a world where you can be successful in the MLS and on the national team. I do think there are players that can do that. But I think if we're trying to advance the game in the United States as far as we want to be, to get to where the level of these countries in Europe are in South America, like they have to be playing in the top leagues.
Yeah.
Where not just like every single game means something, but then there's that like point of like promotion and relegation where like you're like every single game throughout the entire year is like, you don't just like go home and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we'll start over next year and we're back to it. Like these teams, if they don't perform, like they drastically take a hit. And within the MLS, like these players don't have that pressure. And so I think Donovan, it's in my opinion, I think he's just doing that like media thing, trying to make a headline, trying to make it about himself a little bit, because I think, truthfully, I think it's a little bit of jealousy that when he didn't go over to Europe till towards the end of his career, when he was already a little bit past by, he joined Everton. And I think that's kind of what it is. I think it's this like golden generation now to where Donovan's a little bit jealous of like the fact that all of these guys are getting to go play for these massive clubs. But for Pulisic, in my opinion, like Milan is the best move that I think he possibly could have made.
I love it.
Dortmund would have been pretty cool too. I would have loved to see Dortmund.
I would have been good with that. Yeah.
But the rumors are that Pioli wants Pulisic to be involved to play as like almost like a 10.
That's what I was gonna say. Like
I'm so in on that.
That means that he's an important piece to like where he's going to be playing or to what they want to do. He can also play as a winger. He can play on the right or the left with Leao, with Giroud through the middle, a guy who Pulisic absolutely loves. So people will say it didn't work out at Chelsea because of injuries or the pressure, whatever you want to say it. But we've seen so many wingers go to die at Chelsea. So people are already sort of writing Pulisic off. I think it's one of those where I think he's going to have another sort of like breakout season, because I don't think we really ever seen a full breakout season for him. So I really hope this move sort of gives him that jolt.
The the guy never got a run of games at Chelsea first. So
No.
and sometimes some of that is his injuries too. He did have some heavy injuries that, took some time away. But I think some of the deeper, statistically knowledge Chelsea fans acknowledge the fact that he was their most dangerous winger when he did play. So I don't think that's gone. I think he learns a ton at AC Milan. And Dubs, you mentioned the Landon Donovan thing. There's only a couple guys that could go to the MLS and make the national team, and they were your Dempseys that had already done it. Dempsey was a Fulham legend. He scored 12 goals for Tottenham in 1 year. Those are the guys that make the national team. They already have that experience. They already have that credibility. We're driving the United States men's team pool backwards if we're sending guys like Christian Pulisic to the Galaxy. None of that makes sense. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be buying an AC Milan Christian Pulisic jersey because that's going to go so hard.
It's going to be so sick. And that AC Milan with Off-White is just going to be doing some crazy collaborations. But I do love that maybe it is in this, number 10 role. Brahim Diaz, who was technically on loan from Real Madrid, had been playing that role for the last, 12, 18 months. And he's not going back to AC Milan. Real Madrid is retaining him for next year. So that does open up that number 10 position, and it could potentially open up like a pretty free flowing front, 4 with Pulisic kind of weaving in and out. Now it will create a little bit of interest, in my opinion, of when it comes time for the national team again, of where Christian plays, because of how dominant Gio Reyna was at that number 10 position for the Nations League. And Christian was very much out wide, and that worked really well. But who knows? Maybe Rafael Leao will play as a second striker, as a number 10. You just don't know. But I think we're all in agreement that, this move is great for him and his career. I'm glad I'll be able to fully support him again. Obviously, when he came on the field for Chelsea, I wanted him to do something, but never at the expense of me wanting Chelsea to do well. So it'll be nice to be completely non-attached in Italy and just saying, "Fuck yeah, man, go do it!" Woo, go have fun. But AC Milan, man, they're going to be a really fun team to watch. They have some ballers. Tomori's on that team. Leao's on that team. Tonali's gone now, so I'll be interested to see who they pick up in the midfield, but they have a lot of ballers. But speaking of other ballers and other jerseys we're going to be purchasing in this group, Ricardo Pepi to PSV. Massive for the kid after missing out on the 2022 what is it? The fucking 2022 World Cup squad for the U.S. men's national team. Yeah. He gets a big money move to PSV after putting in the work out on loan this last season. I'm so stoked for the kid. What are your thoughts?
This is the most natural upward movement that a 19-year-old should have.
Yeah,
100%. This makes so much sense. Groningen got relegated, I think. First off, he scored all of their goals. He's a guy who's done it in this league against other much, much better teams. And now he's just going to be surrounded by, a stud cast in Dutch terms to be able to compete for some stuff. So in terms of development, that's all you have to look at. I don't watch the Dutch league. I don't need much of that. If they're on in PSV's on ESPN Plus some random Saturday morning at 8:30 though, I'm going to tune in.
For at least 30 minutes.
At least, for sure. I'm excited for the kid. It's best possible progression, and that jersey's so sick.
Yeah, dude, it's so awesome.
This is that move, who you said it, the progression. This is a move that you make for a guy that wants to see how good he can be in his career. I think this is where having so many good people around you in terms of your management team to help you choose the moves and how to progress in your career is so important. Because at this age, this is the best thing that could happen for him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to go into a team and most likely probably be their 9 in a league that is arguably probably the most technical league in the world in terms of just how they play. And this is only just going to help him become a more all-around striker because we've seen that he can finish. We've seen what he does around the box. But if he can become a better hold-up player, a link-up player, I just think this is the ability for him to continue to develop in a league that really is competitive at times as well. And to play for I visited PSV when I was over in the Netherlands, and to play for these are some of the most diehard fans in the world in the
Yeah.
Netherlands. So it'll be a super cool experience for him just to go over there. But yeah, you guys are right. That's one of the coolest jerseys I've seen thus far that's been released.
And what's great too is like PSV, like they balled this last year. Like they played so well. Xavi Simmons is still there. That he hasn't gone back to PSG. Fabio Silva played there. Luke De Jong played there. Like strikers that are big, strong, hold up guys. So like when they're like recruiting Pepe, they have a vision. They know what they want out of their striker, which is like great to see. Thorgan Hazard is there. Like, I mean, guys just like whipping in balls. So I'm excited for Pepe too. I'm also excited, like you all said it too, but I'm excited that it's the Eredivisie. Like I think that for a guy that you want him to grow his technical skills, like you said, sometimes when you play like in Germany, for example, and you're a big, strong striker, you can get lost in just being a big, strong striker. Like you don't have to be as technical. You can just kind of bully guys. So I'm glad that's where he's going. I think it'll be a big move for him. We also have Brendan Aronson on the move as of today. He is going to Union Berlin on a season-long loan away from Leeds in the championship. I'm kind of torn on this one, to be honest with you. Glad he is playing like in the top division of Germany. I thought the championship might have actually done him well, just coming off this last season. What are your thoughts?
It just depends on how he's utilized.
Yeah.
Like I think if he's starting at like week in and week out, I think it's a positive mood for him. It's a step up in level. Pretty cool because isn't his brother there?
No, he's at Frankfurt.
Yeah,
His brother's at Frankfurt. Well,
Yeah.
same league. So it'd be cool. But I think this is one of those where it's like splitting hairs. I think you're right that the championship could have been well for him. He would have played every single minute. Trying to get promoted. But I think this is one of those things where if you're a guy like Aronson, like you've had a taste of a top division in a country like twice, came back to England, played in the Premier League. Like you don't want to go down a level. You want to keep developing and becoming as good as you can. So I think it's kind of a no brainer in his eyes. Like go over to Germany for a year. Hopefully you play. Hopefully Leeds can get promoted. If not, end up leaving anyway. I think it's a win-win, but it all sort of just depends on how much he plays. But if he can earn himself some playing time, I think it's a great move for him. But we'll see.
I think the gym would have been good for him. Like I think the issue at the championships, he was going to get battered. Like I don't know if he was physically built for that, and I don't know if the Leeds are going to be able to utilize him because of it. So I'm kind of with Hen. I feel like he should have stayed there and just gotten bigger.
That's the thing. You got to know how to do that at some point. Like
he got bullied a little bit in the Premier League. Like it's very clear that he has insane technical ability, and like we all know that. Not as refined in the final third, but I think the Bundesliga suits him in that case for sure. I don't think he's going to get physically bullied in the Bundesliga. I think if he does play day in day out, we're going to see the Brendan Aronson we saw from Salzburg. So. I guess it's good. I agree with you. I think it's an interesting move. They're in the Champions League. They finished top 4.
Yeah.
My man's going to Europe. So good with all that. I don't know. Just some creatine and a weight regiment, bro. Let's start there. Some whey protein.
Thing. Like I mean, like Pulisic, for example. Like Pulisic is not any bigger than him, but he does play bigger than him. And like there are times that he does escape tackles. He takes a lot of tackles too. Don't get me wrong. Like he gets a lot.
So does Neymar. But that's the same. Yeah.
He plays with the physicality of the Prem that Brennan just didn't this last season. It was really clear his decrease in minutes throughout the season. So selfishly, I would have liked him to stay in the championship, but whatever. I'll be rooting for him. It makes the Bundesliga that much more fun and that much more exciting to watch. It will be cool if like his little brother is young, like he's like 18 or some shit. Like, so I don't know how much he's going to be playing. I'm sure that Brennan's going to be playing a lot more than him, but it would be cool to watch them on the field against one another. That'd be neat.
Union Berlin's cool too, dude.
Yeah.
I watched a couple of their games, just like specifically I remember during COVID when they didn't have fans, and like it is not a big stadium. but it is intense. It's in a forest. There's nothing around it. Like
So
it's an
sick.
intense scene. Pete Folk's still on Berlin too.
Oh, is he
so
really?
yeah,
Sick.
we've got some boys there now. I think the Bundesliga will be pretty fun to watch, and some link
Dope.
up between them will be sick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And Mario Götze, bro.
Oh, sure.
The last transfer I want to hit on, Dobes, Andre Onana.
Oh,
Oh,
Nana.
Nana.
Oh, Nana.
Yeah, I mean, I told you guys this. I told you guys this. What was it? 3 weeks now? Like probably 3 or 4 weeks now at this point. We were asking like who the transfer rumor we were most excited about, and it's Onana. I mean, rumors are. I mean, this deal is going to get done. Rumors are it's going to get done at some point this week. I think this is going to be the most impactful signing that we make of the summer, unless we somehow do get Harry Kane, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that. I mean, I've said it so many times, but he's just going to drastically change the way that our team can play. And it really is sad, sort of the way that United treated De Gea and the way that he had to exit the club. He didn't get his farewell, his send off. But like, this is a ruthless sport sometimes, and it's not Ten Hag's fault that the Glazers put him in this situation of not knowing how much money he can have, not knowing when, not who's staying, not knowing what Henderson's doing. Like some of the stuff Eric Ten Hag just like inherited. So it definitely does suck that this is how it's happening. But I said this to some of you guys earlier this week, but you look at Pep Guardiola when he took over at City, like Joe Hart was a mainstay. But the modern goalkeeper nowadays, they have to be able to play with their feet, especially how Eric Ten Hag wants to play. And Onana is just that. So I do think it'll be interesting because Onana's going to make a mistake or two. Like
100%.
I think we have to be aware that like he's going to make a mistake or two with his feet. But that's just the risk that we are taking. So generally, I don't think I could be happier the fact that we're bringing him in. The Ten Hag's ruthless, and that he's bringing him in before preseason. Because I think the biggest thing with Onana is getting that continuity with the back four, like getting used to where guys want to go, getting used to that building out of the back. So getting this deal done and done before preseason is massive and super excited about it.
Hell yeah. Fellas, I want to close out with putting you both on the spot for a second. This isn't going to be a factor cap. This is going to be, I want you to take your crystal ball and see into the future. It's the first game of the season. What do you think your starting 11 is for your team on match day 1? What do you think it's going to be?
I got Sonny, Harry, Richie. No, or Kulusevski. Basuma, and I don't think Bentancur is actually going to be healthy, so we can't go with Bentancur. I think it's going to be Pepe Sarr, and Basuma double. Well, actually, shit, I don't even know how this dude plays. I'm just going to give you the lineup from a Conte, but I think Poro's on the right. I think there's a world where it could be Royale. I think we get Tapsoba. And I think we get this Mickey Van de Ven kid from Wolfsburg. I think both are possibilities. Don't know much about the left. And then Vicaro in the middle. And I think Tanguy and Dembele's on the bench.
Hey.
Wild shout.
Wild shout. Okay, I'll be curious. We got to clip this up and then compare.
Is that 11? I don't even know if I got 11. 1, 3. I don't know on the left. I really don't know who's going to be left back.
You think Perisic?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I think Perisic is gone. 9, 10. I'm missing a center midfielder. Maybe I do go Tanky.
Okay.
I'll throw that in there. I don't think that's going to actually happen, but
I don't think Harry's going to happen, brother, but whatever. I don't want to Dubs, close us out. What do you think the 11 is going to be?
Well, I've been like sitting here like staring into the abyss, just thinking right now.
You got this, man. I believe in you so much.
All right. So the Onana, Shaw, Licha, Varane. This is the position I've been thinking the hardest about, genuinely.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Delo, Cassie, Mount, Bruno, Rashford, I'm gonna go Tony, Martial, and then Anthony.
Wow.
Who do you think the other nine's gonna be? Hoyland, even if we sign him, he's not coming in to start.
I think it's going to be Hoyland. I think Martial's going to be hurt. It'll be Marcus up front, Jaden on the left.
I was like trying to think if like the signings that we could make that would come in and be first team starters, and I don't think that, you know what I mean? Like Amrabat would come on the bench, maybe a center back, maybe another nine. I just think that, I mean, Hoyland would be awesome. Like I just think that Ten Hag's going to ease him into the Prem. Is my thought process there. But I mean, hey, I'd be happy. I would love to see him start, but
I need to get out ahead of the end of this episode and saying that I missed my personal favorite signing of the year as the 10 in James Madison. So it's probably not. It is probably not going to be Tanguy and Dembele. I do think he'll be on the bench. James Madison's in there, and Destiny Udogie is the stud that we pulled from Serie A. He's playing on the left.
Sick.
I think Sessegnon could.
Ken,
too.
what would you change? Would you change anything? I was very close to saying Wan-Bissaka, but I think with a full summer, Delo's going to earn the spot in the summer.
Yeah, I kind of think so too. I think Delo will actually. Who do we start off against? Are we against Chelsea week 1?
No, Liverpool, Chelsea's week 1. I think we're. I don't know, dude.
We're big fans over here on the Mecca podcast. We know our teams.
We got Leeds Wednesday.
Dude,
next game
game
mentality. Next game mentality.
I know that.
I miss Christian Romero too. None of us off the top of our heads. That was tough, bro. That was tough.
Off the dome. What? I'm going to say Delo as well. I agree with you on the back 8, which is awesome. I'm so stoked that we have like a midfield 3 that we can say like confidently that's who we want to start. That's awesome. I'll be curious just to see what he does with Mount and Bruno, like how they interchange and things like that. Rashford starts, Antony starts. My only one is what happens with the third. I could definitely see a world where Rashford starts as the 9 and Jaden starts on the left for sure. Yeah, I think that's
kind of, dude. It's kind of set in stone.
I know. Like, I am gonna say Jaden on the left and Marcus up front, and Antony on the right. I just think that Tony's gonna be hurt, bro. I just do.
Fat Jaden. Have you seen those pictures?
Yeah, it's all cat, bro.
There's pictures of the wind blowing and his stomach looks big, and everybody's tweeting. He's like, "Oh, Sancho's done." Then there's like an angle from the side. He just looks shredded.
Do you think that Ten Hag would even let him show up to training if that's how he looked? Did you see how Luke Shaw reported to camp last season? Yeah. Man is the fittest guy on earth right now.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I just want everybody to get their preseason healthy. Truthfully,
me too, bro. And with that, fellas, let's conclude tonight's episode. As always, follow us on the social medias. Now, we did throw it out earlier, but we are on Threads. We're really putting in the work. And
first time I'm hearing it.
By we, I mean me. Hoover and Dobes are diehards on Twitter, which I am as well. But we will go where the wind takes us. And right now, the wind is taking us to Threads. And so we're there too. We have a total of 1 post on Threads, but whatever, fuck it. We'll get up there. But follow us on Twitter, on Threads, on TikTok, on Instagram. We have some good stuff. Only a couple more weeks left of season 2 of the Mecca Banter podcast before we come back with a bang for season 3. But as always, fellas, great job tonight and cheers.
Mason Mount, player of the year.